Okay, good morning. This is Simon with tradertough.com, doing the market preview for ES and NQ for the 18th of July, excuse me, 2018. 2nd of July. Don't ever trust a dyslexic person to put the numbers in straight order. Okay, so before we get started, really quick, past performance. Wow, that is not what I expected right there. That should say past performance not indicative of future results, right? This is for educational purposes only. The most important thing out of this is there's substantial risk to trading derivatives, guys. If you don't know what you're doing, you can lose a boatload of money, more than you have, right? And you've worked really hard for that money. Don't blow up your trading accounts. Slow it down. The market's actually a pretty logical place if you give it time to work, okay? And if you're drawing down, my recommendation is you go to paper. If you can't trade profitably on paper, you probably can't trade profitably with real money. The inverse is not true, by the way. There are plenty of people who can trade great on paper and cannot trade with real money, but that's a different issue altogether, right? So please protect your capital, right? It takes time to learn this business and to be really proficient at it. It's not the easiest business on the face of the earth, to say the least. Let me do something here real quick. I gotta get my dome set up and then we'll roll. NQ 18. There we go, down 51 on NQ. Okay, CL's down 10 cents, but that's hardly a short. Let's get rid of this. Let's go to the charts. Okay, so we'll get rid of this. Put this back over to the algo for myself. And okay, so I'm introducing something new into the room. I think I have enough people to make sense. I'll cover it again one more time later in the day. But as much as I hate moving averages, I have been convinced that I need to introduce a moving average into the room. Okay, what this is very simply, I have a 24-hour and an RTH version of this. This is, okay, a 20-period moving average exponential on a 15-minute chart is all it is. But what it tells you, and the reason, okay, what it tells me, A, is when both markets are in sync with each other, they'll both tend to be underneath the 20-minute, and when they're underneath their 20-period, underneath their 20-period moving average, or they're both above the 20-period, that's when you tend to get extensions in one direction or another. So I'm not trading it, right? I'm not looking at that moving average and going, oh, look, we're above, it must be long, or we're below, it must be short. Shorts from extensions up are still short. So in terms of priority, if you're going to rank this, right, and you were driving a car, right, and your engine light would be the most important. That would be the TPO, right? So this would fall somewhere between the gas gauge, basically. It's okay. It's interesting. You got to check it every once in a while, but it's not critical to driving as long as you know that there's gas in the car, right? You got to know unless the little yellow light's on. This thing, the little yellow light turns up when it's both pitched at an angle to the downside and both ES and NQ are below their 20-period. Now I'm going to show you this, the 20-period moving average, right? So I'm going to show you this. If you'll notice Friday, two key things. Number one, NQ fell underneath. I don't have time on this. There we go. NQ fell underneath and closed underneath its 20-period moving average at 10:30 in the morning, right? That's when short started to work really well. I was tired Friday. I couldn't really hook up the short to the downside, but that's when shorts, counter rotations back up started working, right? But you'll notice we didn't roll hard at the end of the day until finally about 1 o'clock, 1:30. ES closed underneath the 20-period moving average, and that's when they both rolled hard to the downside. Okay, so something's wrong with NQ. I've been pointing it out. The leadership was really weak right out of the gate to start with, and I expected it to go down, obviously, from my talk on Friday. Again, not everyone else did, and I couldn't get my view to align to make it make sense for me so that I could make money on it. And again, I was tired, and I just couldn't put all the pieces together, so that's all right. That happens from time to time. Okay, hold on one second here. Oh, there we go. Okay, so at any rate, I'll be monitoring this. You'll see I'm looking at it on CL as well. As you can see, when it tends to bump into that 20-period, it tends to grind down. When it gets above, it tends to grind up. And what really switched over to this, okay, was my short on Thursday afternoon, which was my hands down my worst trade last week. But what you'll see is that both markets made an impulse move above their 20 period, and then they backside tested it right over here, and then you just started grinding along it. I just should have never been short. This is where I shorted it. It was at that 71.16 area, the second time above, and I should have been looking long in this area for the grind up. It just wasn't ready. And if you'll see, if I'd simply waited, right, you'll see what it tends to do is when it comes back and impulse moves below, the backside test tends to give you a decent area. And then all I'm doing is switching over the algo and going, hey, does the algo tell me I have a short? Does the TPO tell me I have a short? Again, gas gauge is all it is for me, but it will help me in terms of determining whether I'm looking for a long or a short. Additionally, if I get long, like let's say I picked off the 69.90 this morning or the 2700, right? I know in order to extend, what do I have to do? I have to impulse move above that 20 period moving average, and you'll see that they rejected right off of it. It becomes a pretty convenient target if you're shorting or going long below, right? It becomes a convenient area to scale. And then I'm just generally watching it. I'm asking one question about it. Are we generally respecting that trend line or are we not? Like this morning, we're clearly generally respecting that 20 period. Last night, right in here, once we got underneath, we were respecting that 20 period, right? So if I'm short underneath here, or I'm carrying shorts from up above and I get underneath, once I get underneath, I kind of want to go, hey, maybe I can press it to the downside and make some money or get a larger extension off of it. Anyways, long story short, that's my 2 cents about the trend line. There's nothing more special about it. Okay, you'll see it on the algorithm as well. I have that off to the right. Next, let's go look at the profile real quick. Let's start with ES. Let's erase all these lines. Okay, number one thing that's very important. We have a poor low, which I wrote in the notes last night, at 27.20. See that? That is what a poor low looks like. We actually had, it wasn't a great high, but you want excess on the top like this. You can't see this. You want excess on the top like you have over here on the 27th. We have a little bit of excess on top, but we had none at the bottom. It's a poor low, and you can already see that's already been clearly been broken. That's why I wrote in the notes. It's easy to break that, right? Next. There's a whole, I'm just jumping out what's easy. So you can make notes. You already have the charts in front of you. I've already posted them, right? So I'm just pointing out the areas that are obvious. Even if we make it above 27.20, the obvious short area, and that was last night's high, I'm going to bet dollars to donuts. I was actually here and shorted 28 last night. I don't think we ever pushed back above 30. There we go, 27.28. I shorted 27.28, but I knew that whole area, that hole in that profile was a valid area. This 26 to 28, that is a key area today. If we cannot get above that 26 to 29, okay, that is a key short. If we get in there, I'm going to look for the algo to set me up to short in that area. It's a big deal, that hole. Okay, I expect rejection. I expect rejection whenever that gets hit. If it gets hit in 6 months from now, I expect rejection from that 26.29 first time in during the RTH, unless we gap above it. Once we're above it, I expect that to act as support if we can impulse move above and then backside test from above. Okay, it's a pivotal area. Just like that, underneath, there's another key area. There's a hole in the profile sitting right here. Okay, I'm going to mark those off in white. Realistically, based on the fact that we're trading at 27.05, 27.1375 to 27.16, that should sound familiar. It's been repeating over and over again. That area should offer rejection the first time in, right? So again, I'll lean on the algo. I'll lean on the speed bars to tell me that we are rejecting out of that area, right? But very, very importantly, right, I expect it already. So now all I'm doing is collecting evidence while the market's open that that's what's going to happen there, right? And if we look at how the overnight treated that area, well, we'll look in just a second, right? How that treated, but I expected that got support the first time in. Okay. Okay, everything's cool. And by the way, for members in the room, I am leaving this morning between 10:45 and 11. My lovely and wonderful Aunt Susan, who's been my life hero and my total mentor and just all around awesome person. She's 80 years old and she is flying in today, and I'm going to go pick her up from the airport. and spend some time with her. So she's only here for a few days, and she just got back from Hong Kong, and she's about to leave for Australia. So I need to catch her while I can. So, and I've learned over the years, I've made the mistake of putting money in front of friendships and relationships. And even though I think the market's going to be freaking awesome today, trade-wise, I am going to, and it is still to this day a hard decision to make, but I am not going to look back and regret not spending the day on my app. So that's exactly what I'm going to do, is go pick her up from the airport and spend the day with her. So long story short, okay, as we come down, this is a key area. There's an anomaly right here at J period. That's usually pretty good for rejection as well. So I want to tell you how I think about this as it's going through, right? Hold on a second here. Okay, so we should get some rotation here. This is the big rejection area, but understand what we have to do is, so there's a tiny hole here. This doesn't count. You can't see this, can you? Here we go. There's a tiny hole right underneath this anomaly at 27.11, 12. This should give some counter. This is the big area, right? If we're weak, we'll reject out of the 27.12 and just roll lower. Okay, see this area right here? This is from the 28th. See this right through here? See how flat it is? There's an H period right here that's a volume point of control. Again, it's marked off on the chart that I posted last night. But see how generally flat this is? This 27.01 to 27.10 can get traded through like that. Okay, there's just, when you get big wide areas like this, even like in here, imagine this had been flat. We just traded through this whole thing quickly. Here, I'm going to show you. See how we were actually able, we held the top of the anomaly, but then once we got underneath, see how we just slipped right through this? It's flat. Okay, it's a good analogy to what we're looking at here. There's one little place where we could get a hiccup there, 27.06. There's an anomaly. It's a valid place to put an anomaly. Okay, but I would not want to worry too much about setting up trades in that area. I either want below or above, and I would expect it to get traded through pretty easily. If you remember, this is where we were launching off of the 26.98 long, and we kept zipping through this area. Here, I'll show you. Remember, we kept coming back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and we just couldn't get, if you established in this area, you had a really tough time at this 06, 08 area. You had a much easier time below 2,700, and you had a much easier time above 2710 establishing trades. It's the same rule here. Assume that the market's going to resume the same behavior in that area, and we're probably going to slip through quite easily on both ends of that area. Okay, so let's put that back. Okay, technically, ES is repaired. I wrote it at 27.01. That's an ugly, okay, so this whole thing becomes an anomaly. The over-under, technically, the bottom of that is 27.01 and the top of that is 27.12 with a hole in the profile. Yeah, good luck with that. I don't know how to work that out. It's so big that, like, I'm never going to take a trade at 27.12 and say my stop's below 27.01. Not going to happen. So the way I'd make the adjustment for that is I'm going to look for speed bars to appear down here in the 26.92 to 26.96 neighborhood, and then push up towards that white hole right there. 27.13 to 27.16 would be my upside target, just like it was on Friday. If we fail this area, this really becomes the interesting question, right? So let's go look at what's underneath here. Okay, so if you'll notice right here, let's change this color. So that's last week's low, right? What's interesting is right underneath last week's low, we have a naked volume point of control and a naked TPO point of control. That's what that's highlighted, that square I just drew right there. That should provide a response the first time in. There's an arrow pointing to it now. 26.92, 26.90, okay? And that should give you a trip back to 27.01 and maybe 27.06, right? Again, looking for speed bars. Based on where we closed on Friday, which was 27.22-ish, right? That brings us up to down 32 points. Now, last week we did have a day where we were down 50 if people really panic. So 30 should be the first area they try to hold. 50 would be the extended target down and put us from 27.22, 20.70. Okay, so that puts us at 26.70 if we get 50 down. Okay, and the most obvious thing at 26.70 is this right here. 26.68 to 26.66 area. Okay, there's naked volume point of control and naked TPO point of control. For my options traders, These are the two locations where if you're going to bet on a reversal this week or push back up into the 4th of July holiday, those are your two locations where you really want to start going, hey, we're really pushed. I want to start swinging my calls out of this area, right? And I'm not talking about immediate intraday results. I'm talking about this is what it'll look like when you look back. This general area, which will probably be hard as hell in reality, because when we get those 30 and 50-point days, they tend to not make it easy. But those are the areas, right? So now let's go back and look to the left and see what's in between there. What numbers am I dealing with? 2692. Okay, in 2692, so you'll see there's the volume point of control, TPO point of control. We have a little tiny anomaly right here. We have a bigger anomaly right here. Hypothetically, at 2686 and a quarter, write it down in your notes, guys. The auction's complete for the 29th, right there. Now, for those who are new in the room and are unfamiliar with the auction complete thesis, right, it means you can trade down here. Awful color. How am I doing on time? 4 minutes. I'm going to give myself here. You can trade underneath. You can actually fall all the way down here, right? But once you get back above this anomaly, right, that should act as support for a push back up. That's a good area right there. This anomaly, I have my eyes on that thing like a hawk. That's a big stretch, right? So then what's behind that? There's nothing behind here. And so what the market usually does is looks and goes, hey, what do we have to do? Notice the poor low down here. You want to write that in your notes. That low is likely to go. Okay, it needs to be repaired. I'll mark it off for you. So from 529, the low at 2679 and a quarter needs to be and probably will be broken if it gets tested. That's a horrible low right there. And it should be relatively easy. If we make it past 2686 and a quarter, it'd be easy to break. What I'd look for is a break at 2686, come take out the 79. And if we got back above 8850, I'd look for a shot back to 2701 to 2710 would be what I'd be looking for down there. And then if we really get hairy and ugly, we can go back to the 2668 area. Oh, perfect. That has a good low on it right there. So 2656 and a quarter is a good low, right? This is the last anomaly that needs to be repaired. On the way to a good low, and there's a naked volume point of control and a naked TPO point of control at 2669 to 2667. All these areas, remember, if you're getting bearish, if we're down 30 and you're shooting for minus 50, you better have a damn good thesis or be really agile in the way you come in and out of the market, because that is a tough bet. Okay, so if we trend day down, and granted, we could trend day down today, right? If we trend day down, that's possible, but not probable. And what I'd want to see for a test of these areas is to go into New York lunch, consolidate sideways over New York lunch. That would be where I would press for a break to the lows and a test of those lower levels in the afternoon. I won't be here to see that because I'll be gone, but that would be what I'm looking for. The next thing is, the questions you should be asking is, do we close the gap in the first half hour, right? In the first hour, do we close the gap? Okay, can we trade to Friday's low? Can we close the gap? Can we close half gap? Can we get above the first 5-minute bar, right? All of those are key questions you should be asking in your analysis. And then the most important thing out of this whole thing is you should be asking, what the hell is the market trying to do? Like, what are we doing right now? Why was I able to look at the market on Friday and go, the market should roll lower, NQ's heavy, right? Well, there's a couple things behind that. NQ's been the unquestioned leader in this market all the way back up. It set new highs when ES didn't set new highs, right? So now NQ is rolling down and weaker than ES, right? Well, that's bad news for ES overall, right? And then lastly, the last piece is we completed the auction to the upside on Friday. I'll show you the chart here, right here. And we set it in the room. I'm going to close this right here at 10:30. I went back and looked. Bill sent me a message. See this over under on this anomaly right here? You should have a picture of this. This is exactly what you were looking for. Okay, this is exactly what you're looking for when you say over under. Establish above the last anomaly, below the last anomaly, right? Backside test, roll, consolidation through New York lunch, then bye-bye. Okay, that is what it looks like when you finish the last anomaly that needs to be repaired in a sequence, right? So let me close this really quick. I can pull that back up if anyone needs it later. But let's give this thing a little bit of a break. What is this? Here, we can close this. No. I can even close this because I have it someplace else. No. And then let's insert tick. I expect NASDAQ to be just freaking nuts this morning. I don't have any desire to try to figure it out early. I'll wait till they exhaust it down or they exhaust it up, and I'll figure out a position there later. I haven't been trading it a lot, but I am interested now that it's getting heavy in trading it, but I don't want to trade it during the crazy hours. You have to assume, I think, coming in the way we're coming, right? So there's that CL to the left, right? We're firmly below the 20 period. I don't want to see an impulse move above on both markets before I get overly bullish, and then I would look for backside tests above it. Again, that's my gas gauge, nothing else. But you can see we're trending down. We're trying to double bottom this on a 15-minute period here at 69.90, right? Why is that? 69.90 on NQ, got it. And then you can see the same thing on ES. We got a ways to go to retest Globex low. They're trying to hold that 2700. Remember that whole 2710 area? So here's that 2716. See how they held it right out of the gate? That's where that hole in that profile is. I would expect a backside test. There's where we got back in underneath the second time. We haven't backside tested that. I'd look for that 1516 for a short. Would just be super pretty in this area, right? Let's touch base on NQ really quick, and then we'll just let the markets open. Okay, we're currently trading at 7,000. First challenge. There's a big hole in the profile right here. I expect 70.35. If you're looking for a short, that's where I'm hunting it. Right there, 735 to 70.45. That's also about 40 points up from where we are right now. I'd be looking for that. I'd have it written in your notes if you're searching for it. Okay, above that, there's nothing at the gap fill here at 70.73. There's no reason why we can't shoot to the 70.96 if we get gap fill. Here's value area low. Remember, the order appears the same though, right? Failure to get back above value area low in the first hour usually means, according to Dalton's rule, we close away and at an extreme to the downside, right? We have this anomaly at 70.20 that needs to be gotten past first. The volume point of control is kind of a shoulder shrug. There's nothing there to the left. That was all put in at the last. It was weird. We couldn't shift up on that date, so we're retesting that volume point of control. But I don't see anything in the profile to lean against. There's a naked volume point of control and then naked TPO point of control at 69.49 to 69.45. I would be looking in that area for a response back up, give or take 10 to 20 points, because it'll be violent when it gets there. Again, NQ is really hard to trade. Looking below that and to the left, what stands out to me, I'm not really worried about the upside today. Okay, right underneath that chart, we have a relatively poor low at 69.14. The chart is repaired at 69.34, which is why it can overshoot that 69.49, get down to 69.34. But the over-under is what I'm looking for here, the over-under pattern. And then behind that, I mean, damn, it's just, this is where the good low comes in all the way down here at 68.72. This is the last thing that needs to be repaired at 69.03. All of that, believe it or not, is all within reach, right? If you take up 200 points from where we are right now, or even 150, that would put us at 68.50 would put us 150 points from where we're opening right now, and about 200 to 220 points down. That's all doable. If it gets really hairy, you should have these written down again, guys. If you need to refer to them, I will not be here to be going through the charts after 10:30 this morning. 68.31 to 68.2750 becomes your next area. NQ looks like it's swimming with lead boots. So just not a pretty chart right now. If they give me an opportunity, on NQ to get up into the 70.35, 70.45, I will take a bat to their heads. But that's it on it for NQ. Otherwise, I'm not going to try and dance with that thing. My guess is open drive lower, but We'll see if anyone has the bravery to actually attempt to push that up this morning. 70.17 to 70.21 to first resistance, but I'm really hoping they try for 70.35 to 70.45. I will put on a small size short position there and attempt to swing it to the downside. Okay, small size means I will be half size because I know it's just going to be a challenge. Okay. Other than that, everything else looks pretty pretty good. You can see we're opening up underneath all this stuff. There's a hole in the profile I haven't marked off on the chart there already. And I am hands off the first 30 minutes, at least the first 15 minutes. See, if they drive it up into that hole, I will attack. But other than that, I plan to wait patiently. Remember, it's holiday, right? A lot of people have already taken off, right, and aren't here. As a matter of fact, in the room, even some people have already taken off for the holiday and aren't here. So what that contributes to is thin markets, right? And thin markets make crazy freaking moves. You can have a short nailed, have it go against you 5 extra points more than it normally would in a thin market. Okay, so and what else? What also happens is everyone who normally has to work, who gets the week off, decides they're day traders this week, and it makes for some wacky local moves. So at any rate, let's just see what they do. NQ and ES are both trading near their Globex lows. I'm not trying to bottom fish out of the gate. It was way too heavy on Friday, and yeah, I'm looking forward to having a good day. That's it. Make sure I have all my accounts out of sim. Okay, I'm good here. Let me just do one quick test. I'm good. Okay, yeah, I'm good. Okay, so let's get over the algo real quick. I'll get everything set up there. That's not what I wanted. Okay, for right now, don't pay any attention to these dashes right here. They serve a different purpose for me. Other than tell me, this is where this is carrying over a 15 period moving average is what they're telling me. And I know I've got to make an impulse move above to get higher. Okay, and so that's why I have those up there. I'm not sure how to integrate that concept into the room completely yet, but I will get it. I'm looking for reversal patterns, big deltas, just like I was doing every other day last week. What the heck is this? Okay, I'm going to ignore that. I'm not going to, and I'm going to. That's my Netflix chart. That's my chart. There we go. Why is that chart not working? Hold on one second here. There's a problem with this chart. 69.98. Just one sec, guys. Again, I'm not trying to pick anything up off the low or anywhere else. I'm just waiting. I'm hoping for a bounce up on NQ. And I think my CL chart is not working also. That's correct. Okay, I'm not going to worry about CL for right now. I have a problem with that, but I know this chart isn't going to work either. Hold on one second for me. Damn. Okay, let's do file. Yep. So I was afraid of X. Yes. Now let's and then let's do file. I'll have the, I'll go up in just 1 second. Let me just verify I have it working right. It'll be a minute to get it all rolling. Again, this whole area was easily traded through. Hold on a sec. One sec, guys. Fix up. There we go. And now I'm in business. Okay, remember I'm above my first 5-minute bar on ES and on NQ. We're pushing into the anomaly. My target for short is at 70.35 to 70.45. If I get set up earlier than that, that's fine, but I'm not willing to take a shot any really prior to that point, if that makes sense. Okay, because I don't want to get run over.
Order filled.
Really. Sorry, guys. CL trade. See how it's slowing down in that anomaly? It might make a run for that 70.35, but the anomaly is doing its job. I want everyone to make sure they can see that. That's the first delta divergence I've gotten on. Here, let me switch over to the algo really quick. Stretch that out. First delta divergence I've gotten on ES this morning. Right there again, right underneath VWAP, which makes sense. It's not shocking to see them try to push up this morning. I think the guy's trying to bail and Q gets smoked. That's my thought. Again, as you know, I've been very hesitant to trade NQ or call it in the room, but it's been swimming with lead boots. I think they can come down and retest the low. I think that buying the open this morning is optimistic at best, and that we're going to see a reversal down to the downside. So I'm not going to call a trade in the room, but I'm letting you know each of those resistance points above should provide a tradable location for a good trade to the downside. You may want to burn the first half hour again, but I think you're going to see a nasty roll. I think we see a minus 100 on NQ is my guess today at some point, and then you can go play at that point. And you got to respect that hole. Again, for those, you should have the chart in front of you. I know I have the chart. We'll have the chart up to the left so I can see it. My support resistance areas are. We're still trying to push on NQ and ES again, the first half hour. That's not shocking. There's your first speed bar starting to set up on NQ. So above the first 5-minute bar, now ES is pushing back below. And you can see NQ and ES just aren't matching. I don't know why I'm having a hard time with this chart, but I'll fix it. There's the speed bar. That should hold on NQ. That's a pretty important bar to the downside with that shift. As long as you don't break that 70.22, the algo is telling you that you have a good chance of getting a roll to the downside at this point. Might come back up for a backside test of that, 306. Oh, and guys on YouTube, I forgot I left YouTube open. Thank y'all for joining us this morning. If you'd like to come visit the room, just send me an email, tradertough@gmail.com. I'll be happy to extend you a pass for 5 days. Thanks and have a wonderful day. Trade safe.